My first guest today is a somewhat controversial figure in the world of Jiu-Jitsu. He is a coach, he is an ecological pioneer, and he is the creator of the Filthy Hobbyist. I'd like to welcome today my guest, Max Hsu. Welcome, Max.
What's up? What's up? Glad to be here. This is my first podcast. I've had many people over the last few years ask me to come on their podcast, but I just didn't give a shit about podcasts at the time, and now we're testing something new.
It's new for me as well, and I'm glad you pushed me to do it. I think I was talking about it a few months ago with you. This is the plan, and when I approached you again, you go, "All right, let's do it." And I wasn't quite ready, but you pushed me into it, and I think it's going to work both ways. So the purpose of this podcast is really to tell the story behind the people. So whether or not you're a fighter or a practitioner of martial arts, I really just want to get the best out. I'm passionate about telling stories. It's what I do. I do the videos. I do the content for Grapple Street. Shout out Grapple Street. I do I do a lot in that space. So for me, I really want to build up the combat sports from the grassroots and from a level where people can understand, um, yeah, the fighter, the people behind it, and why they got into it. First things first, without getting too far into it, what's what brought you into martial arts? What got you into BJJ? Where did the Max Hsu story begin?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna dive too deep, but I didn't have the best childhood. I was a pretty angry kid, from maybe 8 years old to probably even my early 20s, and street fights, breaking stuff with windows, stealing, anything you can name that a street corner boy would do, like Peter Pan stuff. I was probably doing it, and I was pretty angry. I didn't have really an emotional outlet for my anger, so it clouded a lot of my judgment. I was unable to separate logic from emotion. I didn't make the best decisions. I made reckless choices that actually hurt me. So when I found jujitsu, I didn't actually like it. For the first 2 years, I hated jujitsu. I was because I sucked at it. And when you suck at something, it makes all these emotions from your childhood come up. And then after the 2 year mark, from 2 years to 3 years, it within a year it went from like or hate to really dislike to dislike to neutral to like to super like and then eventually into love.
That's the way that everyone gets into jiu-jitsu in terms of the cycle of hating, liking, hating. But a lot of the time, it's just survive, survive, survive. You're getting pumped by so many people, and then one day you sort of click, and it goes, oh, I understand a little bit more now. So talk to us a little bit. You say that you were angry. You grew up in New York, from my understanding. Is that right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
New York,
Yeah.
you don't see too many cities, and I've traveled and lived in many different places around the world, specifically big cities or capital cities in that country. And I don't think I've seen a city like New York where you can see like a homeless guy take a shit on the subway, in one direction, and then in the other direction you see like a bunch of people filming like crazy TikToks and getting into other people's faces, and people are just indifferent. Like the trait that somebody's from New York is when they see all this crazy stuff happening, you see like people just like in the middle of certain busy streets just like shooting up. You're just indifferent. You just don't care. So that's the way I would describe New York.
And did you start jiu-jitsu in New York?
Yes, I started jujitsu in New York. I actually picked it up when I was 18, when I had like just graduated high school. I did it for like 3 months. And then I went to uni, which was in upstate New York, so about 3 hours north. And I basically didn't touch it for 2 years or so. And I picked it up again, like consistently in my my junior year of college.
And what was going on in your life in then? Was there a reason why you picked it back up, or you were sort of at a point where you're like, you know what, let's give this a chance again?
No, honestly, like if somebody's watching this and they're like a relative, they would never know. But when I was in uni, I was pretty crazy. My sophomore year, whenever I got drunk, it would be like street fights. I almost got into a fight with a taxi driver before. I was like, basically, the taxi driver was driving, and I was just like cursing him out, and I had my head stuck out the window, and I was trying to open the door fully while he was going like 40 miles per hour down the street. Um, like I've gotten knocked out before in a street fight. I've gotten into bar fights. I was an angry drunk. Like once again, it just comes down to the anger. Like I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was like screaming at her when I was angry. It was like super bad. So when this was all happening, it was just like there was something in my soul that was like, if you continue down this path, you're going to end up like all the people you don't want to end up like in the next 5 to 10 years. And you need to do something about like why you're so angry. And I was like, oh, I did jujitsu for 3 months years ago. Let me get back on track. And from that point on, every year it was like a slow increase in my like life quality, whether it had to do with eating habits or working out habits or studying habits or just character development. And I think when you're in your early 20s and your late teens and you don't have that male role model in your life there hammering you, or even you never had it as a kid, it's very hard for young men to separate logic from emotion and make the right choices and have the right temperament towards certain issues in life that will come because it's life. So yeah, like jujitsu acted kind of as a compass for my anger, which allowed me to just get over this phase in my early 20s.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like jujitsu is a journey. The things that you learn progressively, year by year, you tend to find, or what I found, and it sounds like you and the people that I speak to as well, and including you, that you tend to your life and quality improves because you start. For me, I think I was like 26 or something like that. First, it was just getting my body awareness and just figuring that out. I wasn't really athletic. I'm still not, but I getting that body awareness, and then as you continue on and continue on, you start eating healthy. Oh, you start maybe going to lift weights. You start not like drinking as much because you're like, well, I want to be on the mats more, or the people that you're surrounded with are better influences than the people that you were hanging out with that were party, party, party. Was there a critical moment that you turned around and went, nah, fuck this, I'm going back? Was it the leaning out of the window that of the taxi driver where you went, fuck, I got to do better? Or was there another critical moment? Or was it just a pile up of shit that then you had no other option except for this?
No, probably the thing that broke the camel's back. So it was like a culmination of everything across my freshman and sophomore year of uni. So for the first 2 years, but actually, I was in London the summer before my junior year doing an internship at a place called the Prisoners Advice Service. And at the time, like, I wasn't I'm still not actually. I'm pretty autistic, but back then I was autistic and I didn't have the tools to yet handle social situations. So a lot of people I was rooming with, I didn't like them. They were from different parts of the US. We met a lot of like, different Europeans and stuff there too, but I didn't really like them, and I wasn't very good at making friends. So I was kind of like roaming off on my own a lot, but I was like that for a very long time. And I remember I needed something to do because I was getting like I remember I was like, Max, you're in another country. Do not cause trouble. Like, do not drink. Do not get into anything you would have gotten into in the States. Because if you go to jail here, this is a it's a big problem at home, but it's an even bigger issue here. You get deported, your passport will get taken away, stuff like this. And I actually was like, I was like looking for jujitsu schools there to like just release a little bit of this anger. And I did train at I forgot what Gracie school it was, but it was a Gracie school, and it was near like a railroad track, one of the train stations. And I remember when I was there, I actually got this brown belt, small like hot Brazilian chick. I remember just like blonde hair, short, small, hot Brazilian chick. Like she like put me in like a triangle, and I actually went like night night. Like wasn't gonna tap there. She was maybe like 4'11". I don't know how much that is in centimeters. Probably like 150, 153 or something. 152. It was like small, short. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't like that she was able to make me go night night, but at the same time, it was like when I get back to New York, I'm jumping straight into jujitsu my junior year. That was probably the straw that broke the camel's back.
Where was the first gym?
Atlas Jiu-Jitsu in Albany, New York. Atlas Jiu-Jitsu. You've probably seen him online. He's like he's like pretty big content creator now. Like he always does this. He calls himself like Edward Scissorhands.
I
I don't know.
personally haven't
You
seen him
probably
yet,
could look
but
him up. He's got
maybe
like
maybe I'll find him.
40,000 followers.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I don't like his content, and I got a lot of like I'm trying not to be an asshole. I got a lot of opinions about his coaching now that I know how to coach and how to do things. But at the time, it was only him, and there was Henzo Gracie Latham, and Henzo Gracie Latham was so super far away from uni, and I didn't have like a car my junior year, so this guy's gym was like you could take two buses and get there from like university campus pretty fast. So yeah,
What year is this roughly?
this is so I graduated 2018 uni. This was probably 2016. 2016, yeah.
Before there were 1,000 BJJ gyms popping up everywhere, and you could probably have a lot more access than it is today.
I don't know. I don't know if it's been I know every year jujitsu gets bigger, but I still think jujitsu is like a shitty small niche. So I don't know if they're popping up or
It's still
not.
a small niche. I don't know. Like in Australia, I started 2018, and when I started, it was like to people it would be I do jujitsu or I've started jujitsu, and they're like, oh, like, and you sit there going, no, like, there's no striking or kung fu at all. Just pop it on the ground there, but. And then since, like, I noticed that these days, especially in Australia at least, you've got either the person who you say I do jujitsu, and someone goes, oh yeah, I do jujitsu too. My kid does jujitsu, or they know someone who does jujitsu. I feel like people know what jujitsu is now, rather than it just being like a word of martial arts, like taekwondo or karate, that people just go, oh.
For sure. I mean, that's because of like the UFC, CJA. Gordon Ryan back in 2016, 2018, he was big, but he's not what he is now. That makes sense. That makes sense. But I think maybe jiu-jitsu was in America way before any other country. So for Australia, you probably had the big giant boom that we had in the States, maybe back, like if we had this boom back in 2010, you had it in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And George is having it now.
Georgia's having it now. Yeah, yeah. And like, after 2019, when Lockie won, it got Australian grappling got even bigger. So I think I think the booms are all happening. They're just happening in different countries at different times.
So talk to us about your journeys from starting. I'm really interested to hear. Right, Axis, was it? Atlas?
Atlas,
Atlas.
like Atlas
Yeah, yeah,
Shrugged,
yeah.
like yeah, yeah.
Atlas. So Atlas. Talk to us about how you found to the point that you're at now. And obviously, I'm going to put about 10 minutes aside for you to go ahead and spruik your ecological stuff.
I
I
ain't
know
gonna
you.
talk shit.
You might. You
I'll
might.
try not to be so antagonistic as I usually am.
It's fine. This is a safe space, my friend. Be as antagonistic as you want, because it's not me. It'll be the internet. But no, talk to us about, so from Atlas, where you went, and that journey to get to where you're at now.
Yeah, so you know, junior year, I just started training, and I was doing gi at the time, mostly more than no gi, and I don't think I really competed until I didn't compete till my senior year. So I went like 1 year of training, and this was when I didn't even like jujitsu. I was just doing it to get rid of the anger. But my senior year, I started competing like local, like Albany tournaments, New Jersey tournaments, stuff like this. And yeah, like I didn't, I was winning. I was winning actually. So this started like sparking more of the like to really like. And I don't think I loved it yet at the time. Then my senior year, so I went to uni for cybersecurity. I was a double major in cyber. So we had this program like EHC, like emergency preparedness, homeland security, cybersecurity. That's what the EHC stands for. I had a specialization in the cybersecurity track, and I had another major in criminal justice. At the time, my goal was to get into the FBI, and there was like three ways to get in. Either you go to law school, you go to accounting school, or you you do something in information security, cybersecurity. You know DeAndre Corbe. He just quit his job, but he was like an information security expert, probably in Roslyn, Virginia, somewhere like that, with like a top secret security clearance where he can't talk about his work. But yeah, this is like my track, and this was the goal: like get to Virginia, get to somewhere in the DC area, work at a local so they have these. I forgot what they're called because I haven't been in the field in a long time, but usually like these agencies in the US, Department of State, Department of Justice, they hire out like defense contractors. And there's like different levels of defense contractors. Big, like Booz Allen Hamilton, giant defense contractors, and then smaller ones. So I was applying to a lot of these like smaller agencies through the alumni network we had at the university. I was like reaching out to them on LinkedIn, like just trying to find a space in the public sector. I was also applying to private sector jobs, but I really wanted like the FBI, the status of that. So this was like kind of what I was working towards. And I ended up getting a lot of different job offers, but at the same time I was winning jujitsu. Like I was actually winning tournaments, and it was like, okay, like what should I like I started having this question mark in my head my second semester, so January to May. Like what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And I was still like going through the job application process. So what had happened was, actually, I don't really say this to people because it's just a different life. I just don't care about this shit anymore. But basically, I turned down some of the private security job offers that I had to focus on the public sector. But I told myself, if anything happens in this public sector, this would be your moment to pivot away from cybersecurity. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I was listening to Gary Vee at the time and Jocko, and this was like, you're young, this is the time to make all these like risky ass choices. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like when my lease ends in my house in Albany, I think it ended end of July that year. I am going to just train until the lease ends, and I'm going to go down to New York, and I'm going to go to the Henzo Gracie Academy, and I'm going to train there full time. And I'm going to find some shitty job or two shitty jobs that work around a full-time training schedule. I looked at their schedule. I planned it out. Even the guy who owned Atlas Jiu-Jitsu, he had a good friend who was John Danaher's main uke in the afternoon class, Fred. And I think Fred now lives in California. And like when I came down there to New York, when my lease ended, like to the city, Fred helped me out. And yeah, then from that point on, full time grappler, working shitty jobs, living in a car, living in different friends' apartments for a few months until my mom finally let I didn't tell her at the time. I actually told her when I came back to New York. But yeah, like they let like my parents let me stay in like this second apartment they had because I was just living car to car or apartment like friend to friend at the time. And then I don't know, it's a long story, man. Now I'm here, one of the best coaches on planet Earth, talking my shit. Hey, I'm gonna look at the camera. You might see me online and think my classes are not as good as they are. No, train with me in person. It's way better than anything you can buy from me online. It's way better than any free content. I would bet my entire fucking career and life savings, this is one of the best classes you'll get in the world, especially if you train with me. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I am definitely up there. Just had to add that in. Just had to add that in a little bit.
Sponsored by Filthy Hobbyist this episode.
I sponsor myself. I fly myself out to major tournaments. Nobody sponsors me. I make my own money. I run my own business. Everything you see me doing, I pretty much do it by myself with some help with a few people. Shout out to Mustafa. Shout out to Arlon. But I ain't no sponsored athlete. I'm doing everything grassroots from the ground up.
Whew.
That one I had to get in there.
It's good.
That one got me fired
I
up.
was wondering when you were
No,
actually
because
gonna.
I started. I just like man, like You know, man, it's not like I mean to come off as overly arrogant. It's just if I could take you and everybody else who doesn't like me and put you through
Wait,
the
you're saying I
experience.
don't like you?
No, 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 no. My bad, my bad.
I know
You
what
get
you
the other
mean,
thing.
bro. I
People
know.
who don't know me,
Yeah, yeah.
people who don't like me. Like if I could put you through the experiences that I've gone through, choosing grappling full time, training with the best guys in the world. Like, man, I used to watch like Gordon and the Death Squad just train like they would always do sessions post class, and I would just watch them and I would study them, but there was always something off. Like, why couldn't I learn this? And I talked to other people in the academy. Like, not the whole room wasn't good because of the training design, in my opinion. The whole room was good because you just had a lot of high level grapplers who wanted to work hard and hobbyists who wanted to work hard because there was a really good mental mentality there who like and they wanted to get better, but there was always question marks. And I have had to like do privates with other black belts just seeing what they're doing. I taught kids, I taught people private lessons for like cheap or free for years. That's what people don't realize. And then I was teaching around the world in countries where the native language is in English. So they're speaking English, some of them, anyways, maybe at a C1 level, but most people are speaking B1 to B2. And I had to really simplify my language and how I wanted to do things because you cannot be the best in the world copying just the best in the world. Like you copy them to a certain degree and then you take it further. That's the caveat most people are missing these days. So, like, and I've looked at everybody's training design. I've trained in different rooms, and there's a handful of people where I know they're better than me at coaching. Like I can genuinely say, this person's better than me. 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 But like I put in so much effort to this, and I think the results show in my content online that people watch. The results show in the courses I sell or the privates I do, but those are nothing compared to the actual training design in my classes. And I don't even have a gym, right? Like I have to work around other people's politics and gym schedules and stuff like that. And I know how much effort has been put into this and how many results I've been getting with my hobbyists. And like the argument would be, where's your world champions? Well, where the fuck do you think John Danaher was before he had world champions? He was making filthy fucking hobbyists. Where was Greg Souders before he had DeAndre Corbett and Alex and Gavin and all these guys? Filthy hobbyists. Where was Lachlan Giles before he had Levi or any of these other guys come out? He has fucking filthy hobbyists. He has hobbyists who are either beating competitors, they're competitive with them, their training design is good. So like I understand where the coaching route is going. And I know I'm gonna get there eventually. Like literally studied how the great coaches where their trajectory was. I'm just at a different phase than like bigger names in the sport right now. So I don't mean to talk shit to sound arrogant. Like I want people to come train with me. When I come back to New York, when I go to Chicago, when I'm there, let's train. You don't want to pay for a private? Let's train. Let me teach you at your academy and I'll fucking prove it to you.
So there's so many ways after that I want to go. I'm thinking in my head, obviously blue basement stories from there, but I'm not going to go down that track. I'm thinking you keep talking about your class, your class, your class. Come in person, like see it for yourself. Walk me through, like for someone out there who you're trying to reach or that are like on the fence. What does that look like? Or I know you don't want to give too much of your source, but what's different about your class? What's different about the way that you structure it versus everyone else that you're talking about?
This is gonna sound super arrogant, and I'm not. Okay, I don't want to go
So it's on
like
brand. It's
I
on brand for
no
jujitsu.
like look. I have like part of my personality. I am a bit arrogant, and I openly admit that. But there's a fine line, and I think maybe people online they because they can only see the internet clips, they don't like they only see one side of it. And this is gonna sound super arrogant, but like man, it's me. Like like look, fuck like let's just say fuck the method for a little bit. You can take, let's say you give a standardized blueprint created by John Danaher or somebody else who's high up in the space. You give it to 150 different coaches who are all black belts, right? Let's say they've all been training for X amount of years, they're ex competitors, yada, 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 yada. You're going to find 90% of them, even though they have this amazing structure or amazing methodology, they still can't coach for shit. John Danaher isn't John Danaher because of just the method. That's one aspect of what makes a great or good coach or a world class coach. Great, like it's the same thing you see happening with Eco today. Greg, man, this guy, like I can openly admit, when I look and I compare our skill set as coaches, I'm like on the mountain in like I'm like in a Caucasus mountain right now, or something in Greek mythology where I'm on whatever the mountain Zeus and the gods live on, Mount Olympus, and I'm looking up and I see this guy fucking laughing at me from above. Not that he's laughing, but like this is what I see, and I can openly admit, okay, he's better than me in what he does. Like, okay, that's fine. But he's not this Greg isn't Greg because of just the methodology. He's Greg because of how he implements it, what he's tweaking, what communication style he's using, what he's reading, how much effort he's putting in, his experience as he's been training 20 something years, full-time competitor, Lloyd Irvin, Keenan Cornelius, all these big name guys, Andre Bravowski. I'm not saying his name right, but he's a really good coach as well, a really good competitor. Like he's this is a culmination of different anecdotal evidence as alongside the methodology. Same with Denner. His experience as a bouncer, him being an Ivy League student of philosophy, him not being American even impacts that. Him coming from, he's a Kiwi, right? New Zealand, like this guy having to train in the Blue Basement at the time when Henzo and the Blue Basement weren't big, they probably weren't making money back in the 90s. He got to experience what Hadra Gracie was like before Hadra Gracie became Hadra Gracie. I look around the space, I don't see many people who have different elements that can contribute to how they're actually implementing said technology. So yeah, like I would say it's me. If you're asking why are my classes and how are they different, it's me. It's how I'm implementing the approach, what I believe, what I've read, what my communication style is, what my past anecdotal experience has been. It's everything combined together. That's why I see these eco guys, especially the eco guys, because they talk a whole lot of shit. Like I see a lot of them online, and I go, damn, you guys are never going to be Greg. You're never even going to be close to his level. Why? Because all you do is copy him verbatim. And there's nothing wrong with that in the beginning, but you have to go further. And I bet you if I were to sift through your anecdotal evidence, you don't have the experience Greg has implementation wise. You don't have the failure rate he has. You don't have like let's say the academic knowledge he has. Let's say that's one element that makes him, and you just don't have it all. So I would say me, man, like I don't think there's many people that can say they've trained with the best team in the world as a full-time athlete. I've I don't think they many of them can say, "Hey, I've literally taught in countries where the native language is Russian, Ukrainian, Turkish, Serbian, Georgian, like it's not English." I don't think many people can say like I've trained with many different like European champions at blue belt or purple belt or black belt across the world, specifically in Nogi. I've trained at terrible schools that you've never heard of, and I've trained at the best schools. I've read the same books that maybe Greg has read or different books, yada yada yada. I've done my due diligence, man. So I would say implementation. Well, and I've read books on communication, stuff like this, how to speak to non-native English speakers, how to actually get your point across without using too many words, stuff like this, man. So I would say it comes back down to the individual. It's in spite of the method.
I can say from experience here in Georgia, watching you, you're either training, you're at home, studying, working on your content, or training, not quite socializing. So I know that from that perspective, yeah, you're a student of the game. You're someone who's learning, 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 learning. Take a break. Hello, learning, learning, learning. So yeah, I can definitely attest to that. Define ecological.
I would just define it as an unorthodox way of teaching jujitsu, specifically in this case, or you can say teaching in general, that goes different than the status quo that's been taught in many different sports, including jujitsu, for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Why do you think it is one topical but two on the rise?
Oh, it's controversial because you got guys like Greg and Kit basically telling you in different ways. Like Kit is Australian, so he's telling you in a very indirect, funny way. Then you got Greg, who's very American, and he's telling you, hey, stop fucking drilling. It doesn't work. Don't do it this way. Now, both approaches are going to get, or both ways of communication are going to get backlash, but the level of backlash changes with the level of directness. So it's controversial because you cannot cram an idea down somebody's throat, especially when they've been, that's the status quo for the past 20 years. That's why it's so controversial. It, like, look, if you remove emotion, like in my opinion, when you look at all the evidence, anecdotal and qualitative, quantitative, whatever, it's obvious that like this approach, obviously depending on the person implementing it and the implementation process, is way more effective than the status quo. But the emotional part of it is what makes it way, like, and how people are actually expressing themselves is what makes it very, very controversial. And then, like, you got all these guys who are not Greg cramming it down people's throats. The I have issues with them, but like it's this is why it's controversial. What was the second question?
Why is it on the rise?
Because there's a bunch of people in the world, man, who feel fucking stupid learning jujitsu, who are looking for something not just novel. Everybody's looking for novelty these days, right? That's why people like these 3-second techniques online and they like all this other bullshit. But it's novel and effective. That's the difference. It's different, but it's also better. This is filled by or fueled by this underlying emotional, sea of emotions and thought process or thoughts by people all around the world who are saying, hey, I've been doing it this way for the past 2 years, 6 years, 8 years. What the fuck? And I still suck. And I can tell you because I'm one of those people. And I am also being one of those people. I've talked to other people around the world from New York, from other areas of the US over the years online, in person, from all the countries I've been to, in Japan, even like, and even if they speak broken English in one way, shape, or form, it's, hey, the way that you're thinking or doing jujitsu, there's something wrong with it. Now, some people only have an inkling something's wrong with it, but some people who come from different academic or sport backgrounds but they don't have the knowledge in jujitsu yet. They go, this is the way they're doing it is ineffective. But because I am an, let's use the word, like, beginner or novice, I don't have enough knowledge about grappling in itself to know how to implement a different, methodology effectively. So there's always been, in one way, shape, or form, people saying this, and I am almost positive that people all around the world, a lot of them feel this way, and that's why this approach is becoming more prominent. And as actually Corbet and Greg's guys continue to win, because the guy, he's the pioneer, he's the guy speaking it most, and his boys are winning on the world level, and they're doing really fucking good. It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
What you said there sort of reminds me of, I think it's Einstein. He goes, you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to think it's stupid. I think it has its place. I don't know a hybrid or that, but you can't tell me that someone like John Danaher can learn an eco. You know what I mean? So I think like that it definitely has its place, and it definitely has its meaning. And I'm quite interested to sort of see where this takes off, and obviously the work that you're doing, and Greg and Kit. Kit's so funny, bro. Kit's so funny,
Hey, man, this is
Dude,
the cultural, this is the cultural aspect of things.
his flow grappling vlog before the Wagner Hosha match. I think was it Wagner Hosha? Yeah. Oh, bro. Yeah. Anyway, I digress.
Wait, can I push back on that?
Yeah, actually go for
No,
it.
I just think that's a, see, this is a thing I notice in the community. there's always exceptions to every rule. Nothing in life is 100%, right? There's always going to be like there's some people with 4 fingers and there's some people with five. Most people have 5 fingers. Like there's always going to be these group of individuals where this style of method, as you said, like it wouldn't work with Danaher. Why? Because he's fucking like, look, if you hit a certain level of autism, and this is coming from an autistic person, if you hit a certain level of autism, Mikey level of autism, Gordon, John, obviously it's not going to work. But you're never. I'm not going to judge the vast majority by the small, minute minority. That's the issue, and as well as goal wise, like a lot of people, a lot of hobbyists, and even competitors, like there's like different goals set up in place where ecological or whatever CLA is just way more versatile to hit all those goals at once. If you're gonna teach like the way that Danaher would want to learn to everybody, I bet you have a 80% failure rate. But if you teach CLA and then eventually, if you want to go into Danaher's route, like let's say you have competitors who or somebody who's fucking crazy autistic, you're still going to be able to hit that hobbyist success rate and get it really high up, and you're going to be able to hit your competitors as well on your own time. So I just think that if we look at it from a macro scale, we never judge the small minority, the minute minority, by the vast majority, and you're only going to see this stuff increase over the next 10 to 20 years.
I find it quite interesting that you were under someone like John Danaher and found ecological. That's sort of like someone who breaks everything down to a minute uh, description, and even in a language that a lot of people tend to. I was going to make a joke there about Japanese and your heritage, but I didn't know how to mix it in. I didn't know how to mix it in properly, so I started going silent. I was like, I better start talking. Yeah, no, I find it quite interesting that you were training with people like that break it down to that point, to get it to here. So, where do you think ecological's going?
I don't think it's going anywhere. I just think it's gonna become more mainstream. The same way like the UFC is trying to make jiu-jitsu more mainstream these days. I think people will continue to see results, and there's always going to be haters, but these guys are going to be left in the dust. And with it increasing, obviously there's going to be drawbacks too. Like you start seeing it these days. There's all these like fucking mediocre bandwagon hoppers just jumping on the approach. Like I had a guy message me. He goes, I go, hey, why are you interested in this approach? You know, it just started becoming popular, and I just wanted to like jump on it and try it for myself. And now I just implement it, and I've rebranded my school as like CLA. It's like, man, you're a business owner. I don't want to get no fucking shitty product from you or shitty service. I want it to be, doesn't need to be top notch, but it needs to be good. And this is a problem that comes with it, but it's a good type of problem. So I just think it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
You think it'll 10 years, 20 years, it'll be the
Not 10, not 10, 20, 20, probably 20 to 30 years. By the time we are a bit old and not old, but middle aged, that's when you'll see it way more prominently, because the younger generations, the open minded older generations will always pick up stuff. But as the younger generations become more educated, so for let's say between, let's say they're 15 years old now, when they become like 28, 29, through those 10 to 13 years, they will still retain a lot of their open mindedness because younger people are just more open minded in general. But at the same time, they're going to have a plethora of data to work from world class athletes as well as coaches, and they're just going to keep building off these things. So for the most part, I do think 20 years, 20, 30 years, yeah.
Do you think kids should start with technique as young, or you think no, like just full ecological even from being young?
I would say that it really depends on the coach. Like for me personally, I've taught kids, beginners, like very little technique or no technique, and they like pick up technique pretty like I can teach K guard without telling them this is K guard, and then they see it in a Lachlan Giles DVD and they go, oh shit, I was doing that already. Then like they can bridge that gap. I can teach it to advanced guys with no technique. Sometimes I like to add more explicit instruction technique, but the way I bridge it is always how do we teach technique within the framework of objectives? There are some people who can do beginners who can't do advanced. There's some people who can do advanced but can't do beginners. So it really just depends on the person. Once again, I would say it comes back down to that.
What do you find is the biggest challenge with ecological?
I would say the biggest challenge is getting people to actually like feel it. Because the biggest problem I have is online. People look at my clips, they look at my courses, they get results, but it's not the same as you experiencing how I'm teaching in person. Like online, you could argue, oh, this is bullshit. We've been doing this already for 20 years, positional sparring, things like this. That's why I'm telling people, and my bad for being a bit aggressive, but come experience one of my classes or experience one of Greg's classes in person or I don't know, Kit Dale's classes in person and then say the same shit you're saying. But you need to feel it. And you don't need you can't feel it from a coach who's slightly dabbling or is average at best. You need to feel a class from somebody who's good or great or world class and then you realize, fuck, like this shit is super effective, right? I bet you, like, always, it's always a challenge for people. Like, if you come train with me, you come train for 90 days, I bet you I can change. If you're really against eco and you're like, oh, no technique, or like only technique, or maybe you're like, eco doesn't work, it's positional sparring, stuff like this, I can change your opinion in 90 days. Just experience my classes.
It's definitely a yeah, controversial, topical debate that has taken over jiu-jitsu. And for me, as an outsider who's been doing the traditional ways, who's come through, I see the benefit in it. Obviously, the concepts and the games, they were. I've seen a lot of them. I haven't seen too much of Souders. I've seen a fair bit of Kit. He had a fair few free stuff on YouTube. I just don't know how practical, and this is more being naive and not understanding it completely and not doing enough research to fully understand it. But seeing the way, and I've been to a few of your classes, I've filmed some of your classes, and seeing the way that you do it, and seeing the response that it gets, it is something that's piqued my interest, and I'm excited to sort of see where it goes. And if in 20 years that's going to be the new gold standard, that'll be definitely an interesting thing to see. What's the takeaway for anyone wanting to get into the eco space, the ecological approach? Where do we start? And from your learnings, where are the shortcuts that they don't have to do because of how you learn?
Honestly, I'm gonna say something that Greg won't like, but it's I like this is my opinion on the learning process. They should start with plug and play games. So there's many people's material online, as well as paid stuff that you can get. And the first thing you should do is set yourself a goal for 1 week, just 1 week as a coach. For this week, I am only allowed, let's say you're teaching 5 classes, I'm only allowed to teach technique one time. You get to choose when and how you're going to teach that technique. But for that first week, you should only teach technique once. And you should really find whatever resource online you can and just copy the games and copy the structure. Like, really pay attention to the structure of the class and even copy the words, like the learning style. Then, when you have enough reps down, uh, or you see the results, you can start to branch off, whether that takes 30 days, 45 days, 90 days. Once again, I'm not against copying. I'm against people just copying because I can hear it and how they're speaking about the approach. But copying is like the first thing you do when you want to really, get past the older generation skill set. You have to copy. So that's where I would start. That's not where I started, but looking back on all the mistakes I've made, this is where I would begin if you're trying to get into it. And then phase two, in that process of trying to iterate and do your own thing, that's where more of the critical thinking and the that's where the harder part is, because then you have to start learning how to design your own games based off of what you copied, and that's when you have to start bringing some more like theoretical into the play.
I spent 10 years in the corporate industry and a bit in finance in Australia. And the big thing that a lot of the leaders would say is copy it and add your 10%. And that's pretty much like you copy it, figure it out, and then add your own 10% and flair. Obviously, in this, obviously, like it's going to be more than that 10% and adding that. But really, when you're starting out, you really want to, yeah, copy, add that 10%. That's always stuck with me. So when we are starting something new, we are doing something. It's definitely a good approach to have. Um, who out there did you learn from?
Yeah, so there's three coaches who've really impacted my coaching, how I see the game, how I go about taking theory and turning it into skill. The first person is John Danaher. John, there's a reason why I decided to train at the Blue Basement full time. And John Danaher definitely taught me about the importance of systems, and not just systems in terms of jujitsu systems, but systematic thinking and how to really make all the different parts in whatever you're trying to do in life work together. But there was obviously drawbacks to that, because I did see like there's something wrong with this. The second coach who made a giant impact on me was a guy named Larry Hope. Larry Hope is the head coach of Workshop Honolulu, and he is actually he's John Danaher lineage. He's like basically black belt John Danaher lineage. Um, his coach is Aaron Millam, who's a black belt under John himself. But the way that Larry approached coaching, it was completely different than when I was traveling than what I saw John do. And he was so good at jujitsu performing it wise. Like I just saw him and I heard a lot of stories about how he would like submit a lot of like black belt world champions, IBJJF, or he would stay very competitive with ADCC champions in his weight class or smaller than him. I've felt it myself, and I've experienced his classes, and he would teach very very conceptual, the and which is more along the lines of eco, but there were issues to that as well. He didn't have many. He didn't have a lot of like systems that I actually could understand in place. I found the implementation to be bit more vague than I wanted it to be. So he made the second giant impact on me. He started making me realize it's not just about systems in terms of jujitsu, but it's about systems in terms of how you're actually like how your training design is. And that's when I started looking into like how are basketball coaches at higher levels implementing this? How are wrestling coaches implementing their training design? Baseball, not football. I hate football. I think soccer's stupid, but other sports, yes. And then, I started practicing it with myself over the years when I was traveling. And then there was still something missing in what I was doing. There was something missing. I couldn't pinpoint what it was, but there was something missing. That's when I started like, I started posting online. This was when I don't think you even like we ever met, and I started blowing up. And then some people messaged me, "Hey, you and this Greg Souders guy, you're teaching like he's teaching conceptual too." And I was like, you know what? Like, and I would look at his stuff and I would go, wait, this guy sounds better than me. Let me hop on a video chat with him. And I hopped on a video chat with him, and I started like questioning him, like, hey man, like I don't trust what I see online. Tell me about this. Tell me about this. This is my rebuttal. This is my rebuttal. And after all his responses, I was like, two things came to my mind, or three things. One, this is what I was missing, the missing piece in my puzzle. Two, I actually have been doing a lot of ecological, I've had a lot of elements in my training already, like for a long time. Number three is this guy's fucking better than me. And I don't like that he's better than me. I actually told him to his face when we were on the chat. I was like, man, I'm not here to like suck your dick. I'm not here to like be one of your like, like cult members. I actually would like you to help me and mentor me where I can eventually be a better coach than you in the next like 10, 15 years. Like I want to beat you. And I told him respectfully, I want to beat you. And I think him, like, I know how good of a coach he is because he actually like knew this and wasn't like, he didn't feel any emotional wall. He was just like, okay, beat me. Prove it. And I was like, okay, I will. Just give me like 10, 15 years. Um, so yeah, man, like these three guys made a huge impact on my jujitsu coaching. Greg was the final piece in the puzzle where he helped me really systematize and really understand the missing links in theory to my training design and pull it all together. So these were definitely the three guys who made the biggest impact.
I didn't know the second guy.
He's not well known, but like if you go to his school, like hey, if you're in Honolulu or you're ever visiting Honolulu from anywhere, from any place on planet Earth, train at Workshop Honolulu. This guy, this guy, man, like super good. Like and I'm sure that he's improved his coaching design as well.
Um, Honestly, we could spend. I know you're passionate about it, and my uh, not deep understanding, for lack of a better term. I could spend hours talking about this with you right now.
Yeah. Nobody wants to listen to that shit.
No,
Though. Ain't
to
that?
be honest, it is quite interesting, and either whether it's for the people you're going to trigger, or whether it's the people that are actually wanting to learn about it, I think it definitely is valuable and has its place. Filthy Hobbyist, the collection, the courses. What is a filthy hobbyist? What are you doing, and why is it important for people to get on board?
So, Filthy Obvious is just this persona of a person in jujitsu who they train. They definitely training like 3, 4, 5 times a week, 6 times a week. The amount doesn't matter, but the result is what matters. And they're pretty competitive with full time athletes, or they're beating some full time athletes. Maybe that full time athlete is at year 3 and they're at year 11. But if that full time athlete is talented in training 15 times a week, like a Nixon, he's climbing those stairs way faster than a guy who's training 5 times a week who's been training 9 years. That guy just got a head start, but eventually the young talented kid is going to surpass him. So I saw a lot of these type of guys in the blue basement, and I was like, we like me and my friends, my group there would just say, this guy's like Doug is filthy. Like Doug is man, Doug is like he's like a 20, he's one of John's oldest black belts, runs a business, has a wife and kids. Man, but he's like won Masters Worlds, black belt. Like he's the guy Gordon talks about. Like when I did mount rounds with this guy before 2019 ADCC, he would give me hell. And bro, Doug is like, I think he's somewhere from the Balkans, Bosnian, Serbian, but he's like, I think he's like 50 years old. I felt him when I was like 23 years old or 22 years old, and I was like, God damn, this motherfucker is like, fuck. It was like, fuck. And I felt a lot of guys like this in the blue basement. So they kind of gave me this idea of what I think the standard should be for hobbyists or guys who just really love jujitsu, but they're not full time competitors. And then I just ran with it over the years. Like even for me right now, I'm actually trying to surpass the filthy hobbyists in my own training design. But for my students, I hold them to a very high standard because I've experienced this high standard for many, many years. And even, man, like Larry Hope, this guy's like a filthy hobbyist. Like this guy's so good. And some of his guys at his gym are, from what I remember, are super good as well. Like they hold that standard. Um, Even at like Yeats gym, you notice some of these guys who are only hobbyists, they're really good. Like they're blue belts or brown belts at most academies. Like I want like all the guys I train, like I tell them the belt doesn't fucking matter. I want you to be a 39-year-old accountant who's a blue belt who's fucking up black belts because this is the standard I've always been held to. That's why a lot of people like when I talk to them, they don't like me when we talk about belts because I tell them it doesn't matter. Like if you're a black belt who's shit, like man, like this doesn't matter to me. Like this just means you got it because somebody felt pity for you or your coach felt pity, and maybe that's okay for other people, but it is not absolutely okay for me because I wouldn't want somebody to hold that standard, not just in jujitsu but in other areas of their life. Like I want them to be striving for whatever they deem as perfect because on the road to perfection you get excellence, and excellence, even though excellence is individual, there's a certain range that where all excellence falls into. And even at the bare minimum, you're still fucking up brown belts and black belts as a blue belt, but you're not a competitor. So it's just the standard I hold, man.
That pretty much wraps us up for the moment. Anything that you want to finish on? Anything that you want to say? Any last reflections?
I am an asshole, but I am not as much of an asshole as you all think online. Just come train with me. I haven't, just come train with me. Just come train with me. I'll be back in New York and Chicago, by the way. I'll be back in America from September 27th to October 14th. So if you're interested in a private lesson or me teaching or training, just hit me up. You can find out for yourselves how much of an asshole I really am.
Thanks again for agreeing to do this. I know this is what, like, one of your first
This is
podcasts.
literally the first podcast I did, man. So thank you. I feel actually, I thought I'd feel really uncomfortable doing this because I don't like talking about my life, but it's pretty. I actually like podcasts. I see why people like them. Uh, Also, like I like to chat shit, so it's a nice medium for that. But man, thank you so much. Like I really did have these weird feelings about this, but I'm glad that we the first podcast we set it up in a way that was super professional. I felt very very like comfortable, and yeah, man, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll do more of these in the future, most likely.
You definitely pushed me into it. As I said, this probably would have been done in by the end of the year, maybe next year. But you were like, "Nah, man, I want to do it with you. Let's do it." And blah blah blah. After I raised it, so here we are. So thank you for pushing me.
Thank
Thank you
you, thank you.
for getting me here.
Asian work ethic, Asian work ethic. Chinese dictator work ethic.
If you like what you've seen today, please don't hesitate to subscribe. I look forward to speaking to more people. The goal is to tell more stories, to get in front of more people, and to give you more of a background, not just BJJ and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, all the combat sports. As I said, if you like what you've seen, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, over and out.